Hey guys, what's up? This is Mando-Bricks, and this is my Warhammer 40k Adeptus Astartes Space Marine. So I guess we'll start off with scale, and then I'll show you how I built this and some of the different variations, and then we'll move into weapons, and then move into some ways that we can more easily and cost effectively build a larger squad of these. So moving into the scale, we'll show that first, and that'll be with some tidbits of knowledge and fun stuff there as well. So here we are scaling this next to a standard Lego minifigure, and the Astartes in Warhammer are about 8 feet tall, give or take a bit. So if we're saying that a normal minifigure is an average of 6 feet tall, then this just about matches up. If you look at a lot of the pictures of regular people next to armored space marines, you can kind of see that the people come to about right below the pauldron, the big shoulder plate, and that's about where this minifigure sizes up next to my space marine. Obviously, when you have more interesting figures and all, this will change up a lot. If we put in a Spartan from Halo, they're only a little bit shorter because the Spartans are about 7 feet tall, which is about where this Spartan minifigure is in minifigure scale as well. So there's all those three, and you can kind of see that gradient: 6, 7, 8 feet tall. So obviously that height comes from a lot of the legs, obviously, but then also the back mounts. Whenever you add in something like that, there's going to be a height increase, even if it's not very noticeable. If you want to make it taller than this and not add too many pieces on either of those areas, you can also add in one of those belts. There was some in, especially the Lego Batman movie sets, and others in just other themes and such, but those come in yellow, orange, black, colors like that. So if it works for your color scheme, then it'll work for this. So the build for my Astartes is pretty simple. I like to base my human type figures mostly around minifigures. You've seen that in the past with my Spartans, and it applies to this as well. I would like to try out building a brick built Astartes, and I've seen some really effective MOCs like that. It's just that a lot of times when it comes to hands and stuff, it just looks kind of clanky in some areas, and the posability can also be quite challenging to really get, and also have it look good and be durable enough. So I usually build my humans around minifigures. As such, you can see that this is made of a headlight brick with plating on the top of that, and then another 1x1 with a stud on just one side for the legs. And obviously you can change this up to whatever arrangement of plates. Originally I had it more like this, but I had a gray one there. But if you would like to, you can also, of course, do something more, like that and have it more unified. Or you can go with what I already had. I chose this because of the more rounded shape of the knee plates. And then just a lack of many better options for the feet, to be completely honest, in that part. For the rest of it, this is a Mandalorian Paz Vizsla chest plate. I chose this because it added some bulk to it, but I also wanted those studs on the back. This was a really easy way to add in these big shoulder plates. And as far as this goes, I mean, it has a skull on the side, so I mean, like, the Warhammer is already kind of there. Not really, but whatever. It works. And then for the jump pack on the back, I started with a not headlight brick, a jumper plate, and one of these. The boosters, since I don't really have many good pieces for those. If you add the Nexonite, in Nexonites, the little robots that they had have these really good pieces for something like this. So if you can figure out a way of integrating those, if you guys have those, then that would work really well. I personally don't have any Next to Night sets, and so that was not an option for me. But and then this is just one of these 1x2 curved slopes, and then two 1x1 plates underneath that. Obviously, you can vary that color. Mine is sort of randomized, but sort of made to also go with the figure. So that's kind of where that all comes in. So that's basically all there is to how it's built. I'm going to move on to weapons now because, like, Warhammer is all about big guns. The franchise is literally named after a type of hammer. So yeah, and he's dead. Okay, so first of all, I have the bolter. This is just one of the standard bolters, magazine down here, and then it's just built around one of these standard sci-fi type pistols. I tried to make a different one originally, which looks like this. Looking at it, it is a little bit more similar to how they actually look. What I didn't like about it is that when you actually have it with the Space Marine, it's really big, and obviously, you know, it's Warhammer, it's big guns, big dudes, all that. It's a lot of big stuff. But I didn't really like how this aesthetic worked quite as much. I could definitely still see like this being like a sentry cannon type thing, but yeah, I'm sticking with this design. Obviously, for any other guns, I think that there are obviously a lot of good choices, and you can really just do what you want. But I think this specific gun piece has come out in a lot of sets recently. Actually, it was in the Avengers Tower, and it was also, there were at least like 5 of them in the Mandalorian fighter, which is not a fighter, but the Mandalorian fighter. So these are pretty easy to come by nowadays, but this is a good boxed in type of approach to any sort of gun in Warhammer, I think. And then the chainsword, this is the fun stuff, let's be honest. This is made with a headlight brick, lightsaber hilts, and then this type of whatever this is called, using that as the handguard for it. And then a chainsaw, which, like, what else would you use? But yeah, this definitely, it extends it beyond just the chainsaw, and it gives it a lot more dimension to it. Colors are always up for grabs. Same thing with the guy. You know, the colors are there. I mean, there are Space Marines in the just all the different legions and chapters of so many different colors. So I mean, that's really up to the individual. The restrictor on that is really like the armored pieces that you're using. If you can figure out a way to bulk them up other ways, if you're still using a minifigure, or if you're doing it brick built, which I will also attempt, then that's a lot easier. But anything goes. So yeah. Moving on from that, you also have just, I mean, knives and stuff are kind of optional, but, you know, there was that awesome clip in the short film Astartes. If you have not seen that, I would definitely recommend it. It is incredible. It's amazing animation. And there's some fun stuff they do in there with knives and all, but yeah, that's all I really have to say as far as the weaponry goes. So yeah, as far as easier ways to build this, obviously, if you want to make a grouping of these guys with this model, not saying that this is a superior model, because I've seen a lot that are really good, and I haven't tried out quite as much with the brick build. I tried it out in the beginning, and it was terrible, so I'm going to attempt that again later. But, yeah, it's kind of hard because that shoulder piece there is in, like, I mean, it's in one set that's $30, and this headpiece is also from a set that was a long time ago. It was an Imperial V-Wing, I believe. Wait, I think that's right. And it was only in that one set, and that's it. AIM agent helmet, pretty standard. But so obviously the pieces are not the easiest to acquire. So nice thing is this is being filmed on the 7th, no, not 7th, the 5th of February 2022. And there is a video that recently came out by M&R Productions, and it was a set leak for a Dark Trooper set that has 3 Dark Troopers and Luke Skywalker. Obviously, nothing having to do with Warhammer, but the Dark Troopers use this same chess piece. And the helmet also works pretty darn well. Like, it's obviously very, very different from anything from Warhammer, but like, if you're trying to build a Space Marine, it's actually pretty good. So I saw that video and that leak, and my one of my first thoughts was, hey, you can make like, buy 2 of these and you can make a legion, not a legion. You can make like a good, 6 Space Marines with this. So I mean, that's definitely a great option. And those ones are black, so I could definitely see someone making some Chaos Space Marines with that. Definitely. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. Hopefully I'll be attempting one of the, brick built Space Marines. And next week I will have, I'm gonna start a new thing where each month I'm gonna do a different theme, and then I'll have 3 smaller builds for the month, and then on the last week I'll have a larger one. So next week I will have another Warhammer inspired MOC, and then again the next week, and again the next week, and then I'll move on to a new theme. So if you have ideas for another theme, then go ahead and put them in the comments. But that would be all. This has been long enough. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you all soon. Keep on building.